Henry spent many years in the US military and has now moved back to Hong Kong to become a teacher. He goes to Takai Secondary, the school he went to before. Even though he has never taught before, the principal gives him the job after seeing a letter of recommendation from someone higher up. The principal tells Henry that the class he is going to teach is one of the worst in the school. When Henry walks into his first class on his first day of school, everything is a mess. Some students are sleeping, some are singing, some are playing video games, and a good number of them are cooking on a portable stove, ramen. Even when the teacher comes in, they don't pay any attention to him and keep doing what they're doing. Henry tries to tell them something, but they act like they don't hear him. He gives up trying to get them to pay attention to something else and instead walks around the classroom making comments about what they are already doing. Because ramen has too much sodium, the students who are learning to cook are told to eat less of it. Henry then goes up to a man named ZFA who is playing the ukulele and helps him. In the same way, he warns a kid who likes to play video games about the radiation he might get from staring at a screen all day. Wow, if that's real, it's too late for all of us. When the students finally pay attention, he says his name and writes his phone number on the board. The students laugh at him because he has bad handwriting. Then, one of the students calls him and asks him to leave class, but Henry laughs it off. Again, the kids just ignored him and kept doing what they were doing before he got there. I'm done with it. Henry sets off the fire sprinkler with a rubber band and a piece of chalk. The students quickly moved away from each other so they wouldn't get wet. He finally gets their full attention and welcomes them to his class. We're glad you're here. 5 of the worst students hang out in the sports supply room after class to smoke. Jack, who is in charge of the group, has a crush on a student from a different class. When his friends see him looking at a picture of her, they make fun of him. The rich and spoiled kids on the school's basketball team are their rivals. They go into the supply room and make fun of Jack because he is poor, as they always do. Later, Jack and the others watch the basketball team practice from a nearby spot. When Jack drops a bottle on the court, the team leader trips and falls. The group laughs, but their English teacher, Ms. Lee Yong, gives them detention. They play a joke on her and then run away to avoid getting in trouble. The school's principal is upset because the education board plans to cut 20% of the school's annual funding while she is cleaning her desk. People from the board come to the school for a tour to see how the money is being spent. At the same time, Henry walks into the classroom where the students have set up a bucket of water to trick him. But Henry's reflexes are faster than the falling bucket, so he is able to push it away. Students who were waiting to make fun of him are now surprised. Henry asks Jack for the pack of cigarettes he has. Since Jack knows that he smokes, he just hands him the pack. I'm interested in what he's about to do. Then Henry asks ZFA to tell him what a cigarette is made of. He can skip class for the day if he answers the question correctly. Everyone starts banging on their desks and yelling that they should also be allowed to skip class. When they stop, he gives each of them a cigarette and tells them to smoke it. Henry knows that they won't listen to him if he just says how bad it is for their health. So instead, he asks them what happens when they smoke cigarettes and tells them for the first time how tar forms in their lungs. They listen to the teacher and are interested in what they are being taught. After the bell, he tells them to give back the cigarettes, but they don't want to. That day, the basketball team captain makes one of Jack's friends, Bruce, trip in the cafeteria. This makes the two groups argue, which quickly turns into a fight. They throw food and tables at each other and wreck the place. Henry finds out later that 5 of his classmates have been temporarily kicked out of school for starting the fight. Henry stops when he sees Jack fighting someone in the hall. When asked to calm down, Jack says the school is unfair because it doesn't punish rich kids. That day, when Henry gets home from school, he looks through the files of all 5 students to learn more about them. The first guy's name is ZFA. He is the son of a Pakistani immigrant, and because of his race, people always treat him badly. The police officers in his neighborhood often accuse him of stealing. Ziora wants to be a musician more than anything else in the world. Danan is the name of a girl who is the second student. Since she was born, she was a disappointment to her father because he had always wanted a son. Danan has been working hard to earn the respect of her father. She even cut her hair short and pretended to be a boy by playing with cars. But her father doesn't care about her, while he treats her younger brother like a. Then there are Bruce and Chris, who are brothers. When they were young, their mother ran away with a man, which made their father become an alcoholic. When they were young, the brothers could only count on each other. Chris worked hard at a grocery store to make money for the family while Bruce became obsessed with video games as a way to escape reality. Last but not least, Henry can't find out anything about Jack's family. In the next scene, Jack works as a waiter at a restaurant, an MMA bettor. When Ji Ying isn't looking, his business partners show up at the restaurant with Ji Ying. Jack steals his fancy lighter, but he is caught. As he checks Jack's ID, John Wiseman beat him up. When he finds out that he is a student, he gives him some money and offers to pay him to deliver their food somewhere else. When Henry goes to Za's house, he sees that Za is running away from his father and his friends because he stole a ticket. At first, he helps him, but when he finds out why he is being chased, he sides with the father. Then he hangs out with CFA at a bridge to get CFA to do anything he wants. Henry is part of a street band that plays music and sings. Seconds later, CFA joins him and sings in front of people for the first time since being picked on in school. As usual, Bruce and Chris's dad comes home late and tells them to get him a beer from the store. When the brothers say no, he tells them to leave his house by yelling at them. The next day, Henry goes to see their dad and talks him into going to rehab for the sake of his son's health. In the meantime, Dion's father gives her a bag of makeup and tells her to act like a girl. Danon is mad at him because he always makes her feel like she isn't good enough. She puts makeup on her little brother and then sneaks out of the house with the key to the car. She is about to leave in her dad's car, but Henry pulls her over just in time. He tells her that it's against the law to drive without a license and offers an alternative. After that, they go to a place where they can race go-karts. Henry also asks her father to come and races them. During the race, the father and daughter don't show any kindness to each other, and they end up outside. Suddenly, a car hits Dion's go-kart, but she is able to avoid it. Her father, who doesn't know this, is crying over the death of his daughter. When Danon realizes that he does love her, he gives him a hug. The next day at school, Bruce, Chris, and a group are sent to a rehab center to talk to an alcoholic who is getting better. They are surprised to see that their father is the person they have to talk to. The students want to know why he started drinking. The man says that he loved his wife very much, but that she left him when he was at his worst. So, he started drinking and forgot to take care of his 2 kids. The man doesn't tell Bruce and Chris that they're his sons, but he does say he's sorry. By the end, the brothers are the only ones left. Somewhere else, Jack has begun to do a better job for the MMA. Jian Yang. He gives Jack a lot of money to give a fighter a drug drink at the next fight. Jack doesn't want to take the offer, but he has to on the day of the fight. Jian Yang gives money to a fighter, but he bets that the fighter will lose. Jack gives the fighter drugs in his drink, but he is caught in the act. Before he can point the finger at Jian Yang, he gets beat up and put in a locker. Henry gets there a little while later and asks the fighters if they've seen his student. The men tell him to go home, but Jack yells for help from inside the locker. When Henry finds out that he is being trapped, he attacks them and easily beats them. When the fighters join in, things get a little more intense, but Henry is able to avoid their attacks well. At the end, he knocks out their best fighter, who was supposed to fight in a few minutes. In the next scene, they're at a hospital, where Henry's wounds are being treated. Jack tries to tell the truth about Jian Yang, but he is told to shut up. The news gets to the TV, and Henry becomes known as the man who beat up a professional fighter to save his student. He gets more and more popular at school, and people start to look up to him. They even stand up to greet him when he walks in. Different from how they were. Henry used to play tricks on people when he was in school, as shown by a flashback. Even when a student was playing piano for the parents, he threw water balloons at him. In a later fight, he broke the hand of the same student. He was kicked off the team for the fight, so he had to fly back to the United States the next day. When Henry teaches in class, the students pay attention and work hard to get into college. Bruce is the only one who isn't doing well. He's become addicted to pills. It turns out that Charlie turned to video games to get away from the problem in his family, while Bruce started doing drugs because he can't concentrate. He does very badly on the practice admissions test. Henry says he will help him, but Bruce's mood keeps getting worse over time. Eventually, he jumps off his house's balcony. He is taken to the hospital right away, where he falls into a coma. The news is twisted by the media, and then the school is blamed for it. And for what Bruce did, Henry. The education board officials talk to Henry and decide to take away his license to teach. When he packs up his things and leaves school, his classmates chase after him and ask him to stay. They miss him a lot, but they know they need to do well on their next test to make him proud. Since then, they have worked twice as hard to show the board that Henry is a good teacher. On the day of the test, Jack and all of his classmates get a text from Henry telling them to meet in the school an hour before the test. They find out that Jian Yang's plan was to keep them in the school so they wouldn't get to the test room on time. He is doing this so that Henry will learn something in the future. Henry goes to school and learns about what Jian Yang wants to do. He lets the students go and fights everyone who works for Jian Yang to keep them from hurting the kid. They run away and get to the exam room quickly while Henry fights Ji. While they are fighting one-on-one, Jian Yang says that he was the person Henry used to throw water balloons at when he was young. It turns out that Henry hasn't been able to compete in a big music competition since he broke his arm. He hasn't touched a piano since the incident, and he blames Henry for ruining his dream. Henry tries to talk to him, but all he does is attack him. They try very hard to get a knife. Henry finally gives chase to him to kill him, but he doesn't. He says sorry for what he did when he was young and then walks away. The students get to the testing room on time and finish the test. A few weeks later, they all pass with top marks. Jian Yang gets back to playing the piano, but needs to work hard to get as good as he used to be. Bruce gets better quickly and says he'll go to the entrance test next year. The principal is also happy that the board decided to give them a 20% bonus fund because their students did so well. Henry goes back to work as a teacher for the entrance test and does the fire sprinkler trick on another group of students.